Alright, let's jump right into this explainer. We're tracking a massive shift happening in software architecture today. We are looking at exactly how enterprise developers can finally escape those crushing costs of proprietary SaaS AI agents. We call it the Agentic Liberation. Seriously, if you're completely exhausted from just renting your infrastructure from the tech giants, and you want to actually own your stack, you're absolutely in the right place. So let's start with the million-dollar question. Sometimes literally, when you're building an application that relies on AI agents to do the heavy lifting, are you just doomed to be locked into an ecosystem where your API costs absolutely skyrocket with every single new user? Well, as we're going to see today, the answer is a massive no, but you do have to completely rethink how and where your AI brain actually lives. Here's our architectural blueprint for the day. First, the proprietary cost trap. Second, the self-hosted agent stack. Third, open source model powerhouses. Fourth, scaling to production volume. And finally, a summary deployment path. Let's kick things off with section 1, the proprietary cost trap and those hidden costs of relying on SaaS. Okay, so when you rely completely on commercial tools from Anthropic, OpenAI, or Google, sure, you get a really polished, zero-config experience right out of the gate. But man, that convenience comes with a massive catch. You're sacrificing control. You're giving up data privacy by sending your entire code base over to their servers. And you're getting hit with huge hidden fees. Self-hosted runtimes, on the other hand, they give you 100% data sovereignty and completely free you from vendor lock-in. It's a real game changer. To put this into perspective, just look at the contrast in costs when you try to scale up. It's honestly staggering. If you're a developer coding, say, 4 or 5 hours a day with an AI agent, you're going to blow right past those basic $20 tiers in no time. You end up forced into these heavy professional tiers like Claude Code Max or OpenAI Codex Pro. Those hit a hard $200 a month, and that's not even counting extra hidden container fees. Now compare that to just plugging an ultra-low-cost API like DeepSeek v4 into your own interface. Developers are reporting spending just 30 cents to $1.50 a day. Over a month, that is literally pennies compared to that massive SaaS token tax. Moving on to section 2, the self-hosted agent stack and breaking away from those closed ecosystems. So this brings up a huge question. What options do you actually have to host your agentic applications for end users without depending on remote servers from Anthropic, OpenAI, or Google Gemini? Well, enter OpenClaw. You gotta think of this as more than just a terminal tool. It's essentially an agent-first OS. It's a fully self-hosted, open-source runtime. Instead of just sitting there waiting for you to type a command, OpenClaw runs completely autonomously in the background 24/7. It's monitoring your repositories, drafting bug fixes, pinging you on Slack. It is literally like having a digital twin living entirely on your own hardware. And the best part, OpenClaw isn't your only option here. You've got some incredibly powerful open-source frameworks to play with. There's OpenCode, which uses this brilliant dual-agent architecture to prevent hallucination loops by splitting tasks between a planner and a builder. There's Agent Zero, which uses recursive sub-agents for maximum system stability. And Clawing, which lives right there natively in your IDE. Now, how do you actually host these agentic applications at scale? Well, by utilizing local instances like Ollama or LM Studio, you can load whichever AI model you want right into these frameworks natively. This lets you build and run the entire stack completely offline, keeping all your sensitive enterprise IP totally locked down and safe. Let's jump into section 3, open source model powerhouses. We're talking about the brains behind the stack. So the framework we just talked about, that's just the engine. The model is the fuel. And depending on what you're doing, you can pick the exact model that fits your enterprise logic or data science needs. Llama 3.5, that's your standard super reliable worker. Hermes 3, it's fine-tuned specifically for strict tool calling, meaning that follows really complex instructions without any of that annoying, unnecessary chatter. And then there's DeepSeek v4, which is just the absolute king of logic right now. It's actively beating out the commercial giants in competitive programming and algorithm optimization. Now, you really have to hear this number, 86.4%. That is Google Gemma 4's score on the Tau2 bench function calling benchmark. Just to give you a little context here, the previous generation, Gemma 3, scored a pretty dismal 6.6%. So yeah, that is a massive leap. It definitively proves that free Apache 2.0 open-weight models are absolutely ready right now to generate professional production-grade code. You just plug those raw Gemma 4 weights into LM Studio or OpenCode and boom, suddenly you have a totally private, top-tier developer sandbox. So what does this actually look like in a realistic local setup? Well, you can run that Gemma 4 26 billion parameter mixture of experts model locally on standard consumer hardware like an RTX 4090 and get incredibly fast token generation. Now, to be completely transparent with you, a local Gemma 4 agent might take, say, 8 to 10 automated iteration loops to solve a nasty multi-file bug, while a massive cloud model might knock it out in 3. But here is the crucial takeaway. The local agent gets you to the exact same production-grade solution. The difference is it guarantees total privacy and zero subscription fees. Alright, Section 4, Scaling to Production Volume and how we actually support a 1 million+ user base. And this brings us to a really massive architectural crossroads. Let's say you build this amazing app locally. To scale it up to 1 million users, do you suddenly need to go build out a private data center with huge GPU rack servers, heavy power infrastructure, and crazy cooling systems? Honestly, no way. The smartest, most efficient path is hybrid cloud execution. Here's how it works. You deploy your open source software stack, like OpenCode or OpenClaw, on basic raw cloud containers. That completely eliminates your dependency on those expensive proprietary LLMs. You entirely avoid that heavy sauce token usage cost. Instead, you only use cloud services for the raw API inference to scale those free open source models. This hybrid approach is honestly like magic. Just look at how context caching works with DeepSeek v4 Flash. When you got 1 million users hitting the exact same structural repository files, the system just caches those tokens. The result? Your cost plummets to literally fractions of a penny. $0.0028 per million input tokens. Compare that to paying 30 cents per million on Claude or Gemini. By using cloud services solely for inference scaling with low cost or open models, you are dropping your operational costs by up to 98%. That means you can easily support a massive user base without building a single physical server rack yourself. Finally, Section 5, the summary deployment path. Let's build your blueprint. Okay, here is the exact blueprint to pull this off. Step 1. Choose your framework based on what you actually need. Go with OpenCode for strict dual agent reliability, or grab OpenClaw for 24/7 autonomous background tasks. Step 2. Select your model and load it up using LM Studio or Llama. You might grab Gemma 4 for raw reasoning or Hermes 3 for strict tool calling. And Step 3. Deploy your compute smartly. Keep it running on a local workstation for absolute privacy while you're developing, and then transition over to a hybrid cloud setup using pay-as-you-go API inference the second you need to scale up to production volume. What you should really take away from this explainer is perfectly captured by this insight from our source data. The capabilities of open-weight models haven't just improved, they've completely caught up. You just don't have to trade away your budget, your data sovereignty, or your architectural control anymore just to get world-class AI capabilities. The power is back in your hands. You can build it, you can host it, and you can scale it entirely on your own terms. So I'll leave you with this thought today. Take a really hard look at your current infrastructure dependencies. Look at those monthly SaaS bills, look at the restrictions placed on your code base, and ask yourself, is it time for an agentic liberation? The tools are completely free, the frameworks are proven, and the deployment path is totally clear. It is time to stop renting and start building.